Inland Sports.
And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show with week 0 now this week. One of the teams that will be having a scrimmage to get ready for their opener in week 1 will be the Citrus Valley Blackhawks. Back on the show, this guy has always been so generous with his time. It is Kurt Bruich from the Citrus Valley Blackhawks. And Coach, again, thank you so much for hopping on the show. We always love talking high school football, and call me old-fashioned, but it's not football season until we check in with Coach B and see how the team's doing.
I thought I was going to get out of it this year, Pep. I was like, he didn't get me. He must have forgot. But no, here we are again, right at the last minute. So,
is this a fun time of the year? Is it an anxious time of the year? Like, you're 0-0. The possibilities are endless. I mean, is it exciting?
It's always exciting because, one, you haven't played anybody. So you may think you're good and you may not be. Or you may think the other way, that you're not very good and find out, that you are. But bottom line is you don't know. So playing yourself is just kind of what it is, So, it's good to see all the improvement because, it's not only the starters that get to get a lot of reps. It's the second and third stringers. We have the freshmen with us as well. So getting to see them improve is daily, getting stronger, faster in the weight room and, all that kind of stuff is really cool. The real test starts coming, when the wins and losses come in, because we all know losing isn't very fun. So we'll see what happens.
All right, so you scrimmage at Riverside Poly. There's a couple other teams that are going to be there later this week. Besides coming out just healthy, what are you hoping to see from your Blackhawks in that scrimmage?
Execution, obviously hoping they have the ability to do what they've been coached to do, execute kind of a game plan or a script or, stuff like that. Are we able to create turnovers on defense? How are we on special teams? Because we're going to do some, kickoff return, punt return, and some PAT stuff. So you want to see it all, and you want to see it go well, obviously. And you just hope that nobody's going to go off book and start doing their own thing. And you hope that the little inter squad scrimmage that you just had kind of takes care of all those things, because you get to play it at home, and they know their family's going to be there, and so. A lot of times they go a little wild, so you kind of rope them back in for the scrimmage.
Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, at least since I've been covering you, did you ever play a week 0, or do you like to just play 10 weeks straight through and get to the playoffs?
It's not as much of not playing a week 0. I mean, I think a bye would be, awesome, so kids can heal, but I also think it's ineffective in a lot of ways, because if you follow the rules, you're in shorts and a helmet, and you're running around, and you're really not able to do a lot of, football activities if you follow the rules.
Yeah.
Which, I'm a big rule follower. So we would follow the rules, and it would almost be like I don't want to say a wasted week, but it just doesn't, it's just not my personality. I'd rather just go 10 in a row and rip them out,
Yeah. Well, Coach, looking at your schedule, obviously the CBL is always a lot of fun, and then that non-league schedule, you never shy away from anybody, and you'll have week 1 at Awanda. That's a huge game right out of the gate. Do you feel like you're going to learn a lot about your team, maybe coming out of that first game?
I mean, you never know. I know that Awanda is traditionally pretty good, and I know they have a really great coaching staff. So, we'll see, but at the end of the day, it's early. So what do they have? Who's sitting out? Who's sitting out for us? There's also a lot of factors involved, that we kind of went through last year that will be key as well, So our non-league schedules, they're always packed, not because I want them to be that way, because that's who will play us. Like, a lot of teams will not play us, and I say this every year. It was hell finding a scrimmage, Pep, to be honest with you. Thank you to Riverside Poly for including us in their scrimmage, because we're going to be scrimmaging ourselves again this week. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, because I'd say maybe 75, maybe 80% of the teams play week 0, so you don't have a lot of options to get that work in.
Yeah, 100%, and that's kind of what we've gone to. And, there was a point this year where we couldn't find a game 5, and it was like, hey, we might have to go to a 0. And then at the last minute, the team from Vegas, Shadow Ridge, called us, and why not go to Vegas, So it made it so that we kept consistent. I have a few friends who are in the coaching business who don't like the 0 week either. And like, for example, Cito Smarin, who's now at Roland, but they had a 0 week scheduled already. So usually they're the ones we'll scrimmage, and probably starting next year, it'll be easy for us again with them over at Roland and doing a 1 through 10 as well.
Mm-hmm. So, Coach, what do you like about your team right now going into this scrimmage? What are you guys doing well? Where do you think you'll be strong this year?
That's a great question. The book's out. We don't have a lot of returners. The 24 class was very heavy, very dominant. We had a lot of kids start as freshmen, and they just graduated. So now we've had a lot of kids who are very, very good, but they've been waiting in the wings for these kids to graduate. Experience is not one of our strong points. My hope is that we can get confident early, and then I think we'll do all right. We are very massive in the offensive line again. I really like our running back, Damian Johnson. Our skill kids in general are pretty good. Our secondary's solid. We have some really long athletic defensive linemen, and our linebackers can tackle. So, I don't see a lot of big holes that were, glaring weaknesses at this point. But if I really had to go with strengths, I'd like to be able to run the ball a little bit better than we have in the past. I think we could become a really good run first, play action type team, and defensively, I'd like to bring a little more pressure than we have in the past, and kind of force offenses to do what we want them to do.
So with so many guys looking to get experience, would you say like this week's scrimmage or even the first 5 non-league games this season are maybe more important than past seasons just because this team needs to kind of figure out, what they're all about before you get to league play?
Yeah, not so much a measuring stick, but basically a way to get experience and confidence. That's what we're kind of looking at. And again, we're playing tough teams. And even if we have a bad night, let's take the small victories. Hey, this is what you did well. Obviously you did X, Y, and Z poorly, but this is what you did well. This is what we've been working on all week. So, let's start there. That's kind of how I see it. I'm not conceding in any way, shape, or form. We're going to be a problem for people, but we're going to have to gain that experience through those preseason games.
You're talking about your non-league and just, it's kind of a struggle to find teams out there that'll play you. Like you said, it's going to be fun to go to Vegas and play a team out there. But do you feel like it's kind of goes with the territory? Like the better you get, the more, the program is consistently good that, that casting a net of opponents, like it's kind of a small net. There's not a lot of teams out there. I remember one year, I don't know if it was the year after COVID, you guys picked up Centennial, because nobody wanted to play them. And you're like, sure, bring it on. Do you feel like it's tougher to schedule opponents? You guys won a CBL title last year.
Yeah. And, it all has to do with end of the year rankings, based on where you are. Because even if you beat a team badly who's ranked lower, you're still going to carry them because of your strength of schedule. And now their strength of schedule gets a little heavier. And, so that kind of happened with us. Like, when we did play Centennial that year, like they carried us, into like Division II, because, and they blew us out, but that kind of stuff happens. So why would you want to, if you're a Division VI team or lower, why would you want to play, a Division III or Division II team? So it's kind of separated, who you play. And then the worst part is there's a lot of like a rematches in the playoffs, as well, because of that, where you played a team in the preseason or even in league, and now you have to play them again in the playoffs because it's kind of the way it's fared out, with the new competitive, non-competitive equity. So.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had other coaches from fall sports, such as like say volleyball, and they're like, "Where's the CIF, polls each week, and playoff division?" And we don't know. It's like, well, that's football's world. The last couple of years, they've already been doing this. Have you come around on it? Are you okay with it? Would you like to see it go back, or it just kind of is what it is?
It is what it is. I don't have any control over it. So things you can't control, right? You can't stress over. But I also, when we talk amongst guys in our league, we feel like if you win the league, you're going to go pretty high. You're going to be a pretty high division. In reality, your chances of winning CIF, you're playing, I just 2 years ago, we were playing Chaminade and they had like 18 D1 commits and we had 2. It's like, man, this is going to be a rough run here, And even if we know exactly what they're going to do, they still have 18 D1 commits. It's a little tough to line up. So that the higher, like the better you do it in the CBL, the higher you're going to go, and your chances in CIF. They're just not great.
Yeah, it's a weird deal because, like you mentioned, like if you win a league championship and you get put in a high division, let's say like your boy Cetos, man, it was awesome that Harupa Hills, they won a Southern Section title, they won a state championship, but at the end of the day, they just snuck into the playoffs, at the very end. They didn't have to win a league title. So I don't know if you have to pick one or the other now, a CIF or a league title. It's weird.
I mean, that's kind of the way it's going, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you either need to be 500 and, fourth place or lower, or, you need to be third place and, 3-7, but I mean, if you really want to win a CIF title, if you look at all the divisions, I think they said like over half the teams ended the season who were in the CIF finals without a winning record, with a 500 or lower record. So, I mean, the formula's kind of been set for us, whether you want to believe it or not, just based on the research. I mean, if you just go off last year, and again, I just read these places. I don't do all that research, but so I believe everything I read on the internet, so it made a good case as far as that went. So.
Yeah, I just, not to harp on it too much, but I think of like the River Valley League. Like Norte Vista had a great year. They won their league championship, and then they go on the road in Division 4 to the top seed, Loyola. And then Ramona, an at-large team, the fourth place team, and they win a bunch of championships, which is great. It's great for them. It's just kind of a weird format that we're living in right now. It's like you either have a great regular season or you barely sneak into the playoffs, and you have a chance to make a long run.
Yeah, and it's all just based on the rankings and the formula. I mean, last year we had to go to Lusinger, who wasn't the league champ, and then the team that was the league champ in their league, they were on the road. So it's bizarre, But again, it's all based on rankings. We have no control over it. So I mean, again, you can complain, but what good's it going to do? I mean, it's not going to change.
I think at the very least, if you win your league championship, at least start out at home, right? At the very least, if you win your league title.
I mean, you should, but what if you're matched up against another league champion? Then what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, because it's all based on the numbers,
Yeah.
And the original thing is like this, what we all do. We're all like, especially those of us who are in those top three divisions. It's like, okay, how many are they going to put in Division 1? Because that determines everybody's seating, all the way down.
Yep.
Like I said, I remember Nick and I 2 years ago going, oh, if they do this, but if they take 10, we're playing each other. And then they took 10, and I was like, I can't believe that just happened. You don't even think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But again, other things we don't have control over.
Yeah,
so.
It is what it is, and you just play with whoever's in front of you. Yeah, it's kind of a weird deal right now. Well, Coach, listen, I know it's a crazy time of the year. Your nights are long. You just ran home right now to get on the show, so I do appreciate it. So best of luck. Hopefully you guys do some good things in that scrimmage, and best of luck against Etiwanda coming up in Week 1 next week.
Absolutely. Appreciate you as always, Pep. You're the man.
Yes, sir. Kurt Bruich, the head football coach for the Citrus Valley Blackhawks here on the Inland Sports Show.
Inland Sports.